Hi there, this is Elise Bennin, your marketing mentor. And this is the podcast for you if and only if you are ready to leave the feast or famine syndrome behind, and I mean for good. Today's episode is something totally different, literally. I don't want to say too much about it before you hear it. I will only say that it's a conversation with some really good new tips about how to do outreach. And it's based on a transcript from my Outreach Club, which is one of the most popular elements of the Simplest Marketing Plan Plus program. So listen and learn, and then at the end, I'll tell you more.
Ever wish you could sneak a peek into a strategy session with some seriously savvy entrepreneurs? Well, that's basically what we're doing today. You actually sent in this transcript from the SMP Outreach Club, meeting number 18 to be exact.
I'm familiar with this one, yes.
So for anybody who's not familiar with Elise Bennin and her work.
Yeah, she's like the marketing guru for creative professionals. I mean, if you are a freelancer consultant coach, anyone who needs to find clients, her stuff is gold.
So this Outreach Club, it's aptly named. Right. It really is, because it's all about the nuts and bolts of finding those clients. And, one thing that struck me right away reading through this was just how much uncertainty even seasoned pros have,
It's true.
They're like, is my website doing what it's supposed to?
Right.
Am I even going after the right companies? Yeah.
It's actually kind of comforting.
It is. I think, especially for our listener who maybe is just diving into this whole world of outreach and, they see people online, they're like, oh, everybody else has got it figured out.
They make it look so easy.
Right. Exactly. And this is proof that even the most, experienced among us are like, wait a minute, am I doing this right?
Totally. And speaking of questions, one attendee asks, how do you even know if a company needs your services? Which I think is brilliant.
Such a good question, because it is hard to tell.
Yeah.
And Elise's advice is so good, because she's like, put on your detective hat.
Okay.
Be a digital detective.
I like it.
So it's not about hacking or anything.
Right.
It's about looking for clues on their website.
Okay. So what kind of clues are we talking about? So let's say, you help companies with their Instagram strategy.
Okay.
Go to their website. Do they even have a link to their Instagram?
Oh, interesting.
Are they hiring for a social media manager?
Okay.
Have they written any blog posts about we need help with our Instagram?
So it's not just about do they say they need me? It's does their online presence scream help?
Exactly. It's all the clues are there. You just have to look for them.
I love that. Okay. So we've talked about figuring out do they need you? But then there's also the question of are they the right fit for you?
Yeah. Are they your ideal client?
Yes. And one attendee, Barb Jolly, she had a really interesting approach. She specifically targets companies with sales between $3 and $10 million.
Okay.
Which seems oddly specific.
It does.
But she had a reason.
I'm sure she did.
She said, companies in that revenue bracket, they tend to have the resources to invest in both strategy and implementation.
Okay, that makes sense.
Which frees her up to do more of the high-level work that she actually enjoys.
So she found her sweet spot.
Exactly. She found the size company that can afford her.
Right.
But also that, actually needs what she has to offer.
Needs the level of service
exactly.
that she provides.
So smart. And it makes me think about, for our listener, it's not just about finding clients. It's about finding the right clients.
100%.
Who are actually going to value what you bring to the table.
Yeah. And who are going to pay you.
Right. Exactly.
What you're worth.
Okay. So we talked about identifying those potential clients, but then there's the whole, how do you actually reach out to them? And of course, the age-old debate comes up in the meeting, email versus LinkedIn.
The eternal question.
No, it's which one is better?
And you know what? Drum roll, please. It depends.
Ooh, I knew you were going to say that.
I'm sorry. There's no magic answer.
But I was hoping this would be the episode that had the magic answer.
Well, no. It'd be so much easier if there was just one right way to do it.
Right.
But the truth is, it really does depend on a lot of factors.
Okay. So what kind of factors are we talking about?
First of all, who is your target audience?
That's a good question.
Right. Are they the kind of people who are active on LinkedIn? Or are they more likely to respond to a well-crafted cold email?
Yeah. And then beyond that, it's really a matter of testing and tracking your results.
Okay.
So let's say you're focusing on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you try sending 2 different connection request messages
Okay.
to a small group of people,
Gotcha.
like one that's more formal and one that's maybe a little bit more casual and personalized, and see which one gets a better response.
So it's like a little science experiment.
Exactly. You're constantly experimenting and refining your approach.
I like it. Okay, speaking of trying different approaches, this next part made me laugh out loud when I read it.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
So Elise, she suggests like, oh, maybe you should just pick up the phone and call them.
And the group is like horrified. Like she suggested sending a carrier pigeon or something.
You know, it's funny because we're so used to email and LinkedIn and all these like digital forms of communication.
Right, like smoke signals.
But there is something to be said for that, like personal touch.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I landed a huge client a few years ago, and it was from a cold call.
Really?
It was. He was just so impressed that I had taken the time to actually like call him.
Yeah, I bet he probably gets like a bazillion emails every day.
Oh, yeah, his inbox was probably a nightmare.
Yeah, and yours probably is too.
It is.
And mine too. Everybody's is.
It's true. We're all drowning in email.
But yeah, so sometimes a phone call can really help you stand out.
It's true. Okay, so one thing that really struck me about this transcript was the importance of persistence.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So Donna, one of the attendees, she shares the story about a prospect who initially wasn't interested in her services.
Okay.
Months later, reached out to schedule a meeting.
Wow. Talk about delayed gratification.
I know. Like, you just never know
You really don't.
when that opportunity is going to come knocking.
Exactly. It's like that quote, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right. You got to be ready when that opportunity finally presents itself.
And you have to like stay top of mind, right?
Yes, exactly. Because they might not need your services right now,
Right.
but 6 months from now, a year from now,
things change.
things change. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's all about staying visible and nurturing those relationships over time.
It's a long game.
It is. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
It's true. And you know what else I was thinking about? It's like all of this outreach stuff, it's way easier
Oh my gosh, tell me about it.
when you've got people to do it with,
100%.
like a support system.
Because it's so easy to get discouraged,
Yeah.
right? Especially if you're like a solopreneur.
Oh, yeah. Working from home in your pajamas all day.
Yeah. And you're sending out these emails and you're like, is anybody out there?
Crickets.
Mm.
Like, is this thing on?
Right. Like you're in a void.
It's so true. And that actually reminds me, because at the end of this transcript, Elise mentions that she offers other group meetings like co-working sessions, Q&A calls, all centered around outreach and marketing. So
Yeah. Because it does help to have that support system, you know, where you can like bounce ideas off of each other.
for sure. Share struggles, celebrate wins.
Exactly. And you know, somebody else who's going through the exact same thing. It's like misery loves company.
Totally. Like,
Right.
you don't want to be miserable alone.
Right. It's much better to be miserable with friends.
100%. Okay, so we've unpacked a lot here today.
We have so much good stuff in this transcript.
I know, it's so rich. So for our listener out there who's like, okay, this is all great, but what do I do with this information?
Right.
What's like the one thing they can do today?
What's the action item?
Yes. Based on what we talked about.
Let's see. What would be a good one? I would say maybe look at your LinkedIn profile.
Okay.
When was the last time you updated that thing?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Make sure it's, you know, it's looking good. It's up to date. It's
Right.
representing you well.
Maybe send that follow-up email that you've been putting off.
Ooh, that's a good one too.
Or hey, even just like Google networking events in your area.
Yes.
Like, get out there and actually meet some people in person.
In real life.
Okay, so as we wrap up here, I'm just thinking about, you know, our listener who's on this outreach journey,
Yeah,
and it can feel really lonely sometimes.
it can, especially in the beginning.
But we want you to know, like, you're not alone. Even the most successful entrepreneurs, they all started somewhere.
Right. They didn't just magically wake up with 1,000 clients.
Exactly. So be kind to yourself, celebrate the small wins, and just keep going.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to experiment and try new things because what works for one person might not work for another.
That's so true. Like, you have to find what works for you.
Exactly. Find your voice, find your style.
And most importantly, have fun with it.
Yes. Outreach shouldn't feel like a chore.
It should be fun. So on that note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive.
Until next time.
Happy networking.
So that was a conversation between 2 bots. Yep, it's AI. Could you tell? Did you guess? Do you know about Notebook LM? That's the cool new tool from Google that I can't stop experimenting with. I uploaded the transcript of our recent Outreach Club meeting into Notebook LM, and I asked it to generate what it calls an audio overview. And what you just heard is what the AI generated based on that one source. It's kind of amazing, maybe even a little scary amazing. I'll keep sharing more of my AI experiments, but for a baby step, as you heard the mail bot suggest, look at your LinkedIn profile and make sure it's up to date. Send that follow-up email you've been putting off and Google to find some networking events in your area. He basically gave you baby steps based on the 3 tools in the Simplest Marketing Plan: targeted outreach, strategic networking, and quality content marketing. He even got the pronunciation of my name right, kind of. That's amazing. Most humans don't even do that. All right, anyway, that's it for today. But if you want my help finding actual clients using AI, I hope you'll check out my new one-on-one AI client finding coaching calls. I've been doing a lot of them and they're a lot of fun. Or you can just sign up for my quick tips at marketing-mentor.com. Once you're on the site, you'll find lots more resources, including my Simplest Marketing Plan. So enjoy, and I'll see you next time.